Hello to all my BPTV fans, YouTube fans, and new fans, and especially my horse racing fans for my next guest. This is my 31st show. I'm Alan Levine, the Talking Machine. This is my special The Talking Machine show, and I have a great legendary guest to interview. Will you please tell us your name?
My name is Roger Houston. Whether I'm legendary or not, that's to be personal opinion by the people.
As I tell people, that's my opinion.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
And I remember when he first came to the Meadows racetrack back in 1976. I started going to the Meadows when I turned 18 because I found out gambling was okay for 18-year-olds. And I love the horses and horse racing and owned racehorses.
Yeah.
Now Roger's going to tell his story. First question, where were you born at?
Born in a town called Xenia, with an X, Ohio.
That's unusual.
It's known for the 1974 tornado that killed 33 people and wiped out 85% of the businesses and such.
Wow. Yeah. I only had heard about that.
Yeah. If you watch the Weather Channel, they usually show video of it about every year.
No, that's horrific.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. And it was just a small town?
33,000.
That's not too small.
I was at Pompano Park announcing horse races and got there one night, and switchboard operator says, "You're from Xenia, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, they got hit with a tornado and 11 people were killed."
Wow.
And my dad had to drive something like 60 miles to get home, and then when he got home, he had to drive to Springfield to
oh my goodness.
Call on the telephone, and they finally called me around 10:30 that night, and all the family was all right and everything.
That's good. What a blessing.
The death toll got up to 33 people. And a lot of them were people involved in harness racing, believe it or not.
I believe it. Harness racing is big in Ohio.
Yeah. Well, Xenia is kind of unique when it comes to harness racing because the gentleman that invented the mobile starting gate,
I didn't know that.
Steve Phillips, born and raised in Xenia. The gentleman that had a lot to do with the photo finish Camler.
Right.
Harry Hagler. He had sound systems and photo finish for county fairs and racetracks. And Chip Noble, who's a legendary driver in Ohio, and he passed away about 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
Went into the Immortal Hall of Fame July the 3rd in Goshen, New York. So
I saw that. It looked great.
It's a big town, a lot of horsemen.
Oh, that is great.
Yeah.
All right, where'd you go to school?
Well, I started out, we lived in Alpha, which is just south of Xenia.
Okay.
And I went to grade school in Beaver Creek, which is between Xenia and Dayton, Ohio.
I know Dayton. I had relatives that lived in Dayton.
Yeah. Well, right now, in those days, you could see the difference between Xenia and Dayton, but now you drive from Xenia to Dayton, it's nonstop area totally built up.
Here's my memory of Dayton. We traveled there from Pittsburgh to see my aunt and uncle and 5 daughters, and they go, "Let's go out in the porch." We go out in the porch, 100 feet away, there's barbed wire fences. 100 feet further, hundreds of cows.
Wow.
Right, so it has changed, I'm sure. This was in the 70s or
Speaking
late
of
60s.
Cows, when we moved from the Xenia area out to Beaver Creek in 1947, I believe it was. Or no, maybe it was 1945. 1945, my father became the manager of Alpha Dairy, which was the Shoemake Dairy Farms.
That brings up cows.
And they milked like 75 Guernseys twice a day.
Yeah.
And when we left and moved back into Xenia in 1952, they were up to 125 cows.
Wow, what a business.
And early on, the main supplier of milk for Dayton, Ohio was Shoemake Dairy, where my dad was the manager.
What a small world and a connection. Great history.
You mention anything, I'll go with it.
I understand. I'm not even hesitant on asking, where did you go to middle school and high school?
Well, when we moved back to Xenia, it was for the 6th grade.
Okay.
I graduated from Xenia High School in 1960.
Okay.
Went to Wilmington College, which was just 18 miles down the road.
Thank you for describing this. They can check the maps out.
Yeah. I got a diploma in 1965,
Okay.
needing 4 more hours to be a school teacher.
Okay.
On the way from that ceremony, my uncle passed me in Lumberton, Ohio,
Okay.
and he told me, pull over the side of the road, and I did, and he said, when you get home, be sure you call Phil Malger down at the Red Mile in Lexington, Kentucky.
Okay.
I called Phil. He was going to Raceway Park in Toledo to announce races, couldn't do the final week.
Oh my goodness.
So I was working at the radio station, Xenia, WHBM, it's an FM station,
Okay.
and I drove back and forth each day from Xenia to Lexington, Kentucky, 147 miles one way
Wow.
to announce races for 1 week. And that ended the supposed upcoming career as a school teacher.
You're
been
kidding.
Harness racing ever since.
Well, let me back up a little bit. When did your love of horses and horse racing start?
Uncle Don, Don Houston, started announcing races, I believe, in 1952.
Okay.
Steve Phillips took him to Allentown and York, Pennsylvania
Right.
to announce races. And in 1953, he got the job at Lebanon Raceway,
Ooh.
just 30 some miles from
All
Xenia.
in the area, central area.
Same area. And so that was in 1953. So at the age of 11, I spent more time with my uncle going to Lebanon Raceway or county fairs in the state of Ohio than I did studying books or anything like that for high school. So
Understood. That's why I wanted to bring this up,
Yeah.
because I know you started at a young age.
that introduction to racing actually started in 1953. I never dreamed I'd be an announcer or anything like that, and it finally worked out that that was going to be my chosen path.
No, but how cool was that for a young kid to travel with an uncle announcing races?
Mm-hmm.
It
The only
had to
thing
be.
is, he smoked a cigar, and
Oh.
that gave me fits. But interesting story.
Yeah,
I think I was a junior in high school, still wasn't announcing races,
sure.
and skipped my prom to go to Lebanon Raceway, and I sat in the back row of the grandstand at Lebanon Raceway with a gentleman that I believe was about a year and a half older than I am, betting the horses,
Get out.
Pete Rose.
No way. Unbelievable.
I knew Pete ever since, and in fact, as he came to the Washington, Pennsylvania a few
Yeah.
years ago, and it was at the Wild Things,
Yeah,
and Pastor Joe,
I remember meeting Pastor Joe.
at the
Great man.
racetrack chaplain at the Meadows, paid $100 to get Pete's picture and an autograph. And Joe walked up to him, and Pastor Joe said, I'm the chaplain out at the Meadows. And Pete says, is Roger still announcing there? So even though we hadn't seen each other for 25 years, he kind of followed my career
Right.
through my uncle, who was lifelong friend with Pete Rose.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Connections are everywhere.
Yeah. You just never know. You have forks in the road, and you can either go left or you can go right.
Right.
And I'll say in my instance, I've always chose the right fork.
I was
Or
going
the
to.
left fork.
That
but the
was right.
The right one.
No, I appreciate your metaphor about right was right.
Yeah.
That's even better. No, what an interesting thing. Did you play any sports or anything growing up? Or try any?
A little baseball,
Yeah.
softball, and things like that, but I had a leg injury carrying out groceries at the grocery store in my sophomore year.
So that held you back.
I had a cast on my leg for probably like 16, 17 weeks, and
Wow.
that was before college and everything. So that
It
was
limited you.
another path of my life that something else told me where to go.
Yeah. Well, God doesn't tell us the plan.
Yeah.
We just see it when it's supposed to be there, and look at what it led you to.
The one thing I'm most proud of is I've never applied for a job.
You're kidding.
Never.
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 Wow.
Somebody talked me into getting a paper out.
I
Somebody
had one.
Somebody talked me into carrying out groceries in the grocery store.
Yeah.
Uncle Don says, hey, I need somebody to help me at the radio station doing play-by-play football and basketball.
Wow.
That led to working there. Phil Mauger called me to go to Lexington.
Sure.
Hank Thompson showed up one night at.
I hope you're all taking notes.
He showed up. He was a good gentleman. Had the Little Brown Jug over in Delaware, Ohio, and Charlie Hinkle, who was the announcer at the Meadows,
right,
told Hank on the day of the Adios in 1967 that he was going to California to do the Los Angeles entry into the ABA Basketball League.
Oh, you're kidding. Wow.
So Hank needed an announcer, and he called me that night around 10 o'clock at night and asked me to call the Little Brown Jug.
Wow.
And then Joe Hardy comes to Pompano Park and hears me announce one night there, and
that was it.
That was it, and then made the move to the Meadows.
No, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing this with all my friends and fans and people that have heard about you.
It's in the book.
There we go. We're here to help promote that. We'll do that in the last 10 minutes of it, because if I'm not talking, I'm not promoting.
Yeah.
And I'm promoting good people in our Pittsburgh/Washington area.
Yeah.
So, no, I appreciate this. So you're going to be a teacher. Now you get your first,
parimutuel job. I'd announced county fairs. I'd started.
That's what I wanted to bring up.
I was a senior in high school, and it was a Sunday in May. They have what's called matinee races at the county fairgrounds.
I'm familiar with it, yes.
And so Don called me and he said, you want to go with me to Wilmington today?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I'll go. And
well, it's only 30 miles away.
Yeah, I'm sitting over in the grandstand, and he announces the first race. Roger Houston, come to the infield judges stand. I go to the
what an
judges
introduction.
Stand. What's wrong? He says, I got to go to the bathroom. Here, do this post parade. I'll be back before the race. So I did the post parade. Only thing is, Don didn't come back.
You're kidding.
No. I had to
He set you up.
He set me up. Yeah.
What an uncle.
Second race was horrible.
Yeah.
Third race was a little better.
Did you have your binoculars?
I had his.
Okay, just checking.
Those days it was big,
That's
heavy.
why I'm asking.
I hadn't done any weightlifting for a long time, so
right.
I made it through it, and from that, 5 county fairs in the state of Ohio in that year in 1960, and then advanced to one point. I was doing 17 county fairs.
17.
Yeah.
You're prolific, that's for sure. We'll get into how many races you've announced a little later on. That's a little tease, folks. We still got 16 minutes to find out. And that's where the legendary opinion from Alan Levine, the talking machine, comes out. But I want to backdate a little bit because our man Nick here, he announces different sports and different things. So I want to show him, and I want to go back to when you started announcing sports. How did that come about?
Well, actually, that kind of started before the horse races.
Yes, that's why I'm bringing it up.
I think I was maybe a sophomore in high school.
Okay.
And Gerald Nash, who was Harry Hagler's son-in-law, was doing the PA for the Xenia High School Buccaneers.
Wow.
And there were some nights that he couldn't do it, so he broke me into doing PA for high school basketball.
Okay.
Did that for my sophomore year, my junior year. My senior year, though, my cousin, Olive Houston, who was the first woman mayor in the United States and also taught public speaking at Xenia, said, why don't
Shout out to the memory of Olive Houston. That is great.
She says, why don't you take my public speaking course? I says, well, Cousin Olive, we disagree on so many subjects, I don't think we'd get along. She goes to the school board, gets them to pass a resolution that only members of her speech class could do the PA at Xenia High School football and basketball games.
I like women power.
Yeah, so I lost that job. Don then got me the job at the radio station, and rest is history. I did play-by-play football, basketball, and baseball.
Right.
Granted, it was Babe Ruth baseball.
I played Babe Ruth baseball as a pitcher.
Yeah.
So I recognize that. After Little League.
I hate baseball announcing, though.
Do you?
Most boring thing in the world.
Wow.
Too much ad-lib time.
Well, you're a 2-minute or less guy.
Give me a basketball game. I love basketball.
Right.
Football's all right.
Hold it. Can we have one call from you? Your famous call for the player at Pitt, the defensive player.
Well, don't you want to hear how I even got that job, though?
That would be great.
That's another story.
I was trying to do it straight up,
Okay.
but your stories are some of the best. Give me the story on. Wait till you
yeah,
hear
it
the
leads
call.
into that.
Yes. Go ahead.
It was a Wednesday night in 1976.
Okay.
I'd been at the Meadows a few months.
Right.
It was Dean Bellick,
Okay. I remember the name.
Sports
Yeah.
Information Director at the University of Pittsburgh, was at the track.
Okay.
He called me the next morning, and he said, "Did you ever do PA work for football?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah, high school, college, football, basketball." He says, "Now, Pitt has played one game. The quarterback had broke his leg in playing Louisville, I think it was.
Okay. Yeah.
And Matt Cavanaugh was now the quarterback.
Yeah.
They played one game, they won it, 1-0. He says, Pitt's going to be the national champion this year.
Wow.
And we got to liven up Pitt Stadium. Would you do it? And I said, I'd be happy to. And that started a career from 1976 to 1983 doing Pitt football. By the time the player you're referring to
Yes.
came along, I love to play with people's names,
Understand.
good Italian names and stuff like that.
Sure.
Roll your R's and everything. But there was nobody on that Pitt squad that really had a name I could play with.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking and trying, what can I come up with?
Racking your brain.
All of a sudden, number 99 makes a tackle. Tackle made by number
Listen.
99.
Listen.
I'm still thinking, and I remembered a baseball player, Boog Powell.
Yes, I
And
remember
the
him.
fans would cheer, Boog, Boog, Boog. And I got to thinking, Hugh Green! And the rest is history.
Great. Big Boog Powell was a big power hitter.
Yeah.
I remember him.
Hugh Green
I
was
had
a
his
big
baseball
power-
card.
I did.
That's why it's so apropos.
Yeah.
And Roger, I went to Pitt games. I remember the stadium and walking up the Cardiac Hill,
Oh, yeah.
going in there, and
The greatest thing, though, was the games with Army or Navy and the cadets coming up
Yeah.
the hill and going into the stadium. I love those games.
classical.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
that's great.
And I went there many years with different friends and saw
But I
games.
also I love basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, Carlton, Neverson,
There you-
Slam, Bam, Clancy.
Yeah.
Oh, some great ones. J.R. Ryan, who
Ooh.
now owns horses racing at the Meadows.
Yeah.
He was the first point guard for the University of Pittsburgh.
I didn't know that.
And I got to know him at that time. He had some horses. He got involved in racing after his college days were over, and
Yeah.
he owns a number of horses with his son, Colin, now racing at the Meadows. So,
That is so cool. It circles back.
yeah, old
Definitely.
JR.
No, that is great. No, it's so cool when
Also got to know the coaches real well. Gil Lucas. I don't know if you remember Gil.
yeah, I do remember the name.
He
yeah.
worked at a cable company in Pittsburgh, but he was also the statistician for Pitt basketball.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he kept a lot of information. And he would be here and I'd sit here, and next was the coach of the visiting team,
Okay.
and Raleigh Massimino.
Oh, I remember him.
Got to know him so well and everything.
What a
like that.
character.
Oh, character. Can I stand up?
Yes.
One time, official called something on the plate. Raleigh gets up and says, he's dancing around like a... He turned around to me and he, did I overreact?
I knew it was staged. He was quite the guy.
Oh.
I enjoyed. My dad was a great basketball official in the local area,
Yeah.
and did college and things. So I followed from a young kid.
Dutch
Basketball.
Shample
Yes.
and Gene Steratore.
Yes.
two great basketball officials.
My dad was friends with both of them.
My daughter is playing basketball for Canon McMillan,
Okay,
and we go to Laurel Highlands to play.
right.
And at that time, I kept the official book and did PA for Canon
Of
McMillan
course.
High School.
Why not?
Traveled with the girls' team and everything. And we're playing Laurel Highlands that night, and I looked up in the back, and there's Gene Steratore. I go up and I say, "What are you doing, Gene?"
Yeah.
And he says, "Well, I'm the head of the officials, and I'm here to grade the three officials tonight."
Wow.
He didn't tell me who they were or anything
Right.
like that. So, game's getting ready to start, and the officials come over and sign the book and check it out, you know.
Yeah.
Steratore, Steratore, and Steratore.
His brothers.
Well, I don't know
Or-
if they were brothers,
well,
nephews, or
right.
they were all related.
Unbelievable.
That's my Gene Steratore.
I love it. That's a great story. No, it's cool. Being around sports like I've been my whole life just means so much
Yeah.
with it. And then being involved in harness horse racing, just the people and the business it's done. It's a multi-billion-dollar business that provides generations of families.
Yeah.
And that's what I love, the history of harness horses.
I just came home from 2 days at the Clinton County Fair in Wilmington, and
Yeah.
I've got about 6 county fairs in the next 3 weeks that I'm
Ooh.
announcing over in Ohio, and
Sure.
it just,
Do you still love it?
I love it. Yeah, yeah.
I could tell.
I mean, I'll be 80 September the 16th.
Happy pre-birthday.
Yeah, and getting ready to go to Ireland again. I go over there. I've been going over since about 2009.
I know. I remember following your exploits, and
Yeah.
even Wendy Ross
Yeah.
went with you as an outrider.
Well, she went to Sweden.
Oh, sweet. I
Yes,
missed that then. I
Stockholm,
missed the
Sweden.
international stuff. Yeah.
But I've taken Mike Wilder. He
I
went
know.
with me. Dan Noble.
What a
Aaron-
great guy.
Aaron Merriman.
Yeah. I interviewed
George
Aaron.
Brennan.
Aaron's such a fun guy. I rode in a celebrity race with Mike Wilder as my driver, and of course Heather Wilder was the PR that got me doing Pittsburgh Sportsline Friday night fun nights.
Yeah.
And we had so much fun there. I did the Hugathon Pittsburgh where I had an actual night at the races,
Remember that?
and the announcer up there goes, "Hey, Alan Levine, what's the Hugathon Pittsburgh?" He announced it over the whole, the venue. And I looked up and, and then Evan,
You never know what these announcers are going to say.
no, and that's why we had so much fun going out there. When I told them we're going to get winning, photo pictures in the winner's circle, and we sold our programs, and they go, "When are we going to go?" I go, 3 races, we go down there.
Yeah.
And everybody loved
You
it.
had about 20 people in the winner's circle. I remember.
Yeah, we didn't set any records because I know you've done that, but we did bring them down. And I remember my winning horses because I was lucky, had a nice 7-year run out there and had some successful horses and great trainers like Dane Snyder, great driver Doug Snyder, had Dave Pallone ride a horse or two for me a few years after he started in the early 80s. So, in the Mickey Burke stable. I remember Ronnie Burke was just a young, tall giant of a kid talking horses a mile a minute. Now he's the leading trainer, making millions of dollars, #1.
And he's in the Hall of Fame.
He just made the Hall of Fame. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
And Hall of Famer Roger Houston is here. How many Hall of Fames are you in?
Washington, Greene County, U.S. Harness Riders. Now you put me on the spot.
I did just a
Never
little
mind.
bit. Yeah, I have to challenge my guests.
I think it's 4 or 5.
Well, we'll accept that.
Yeah.
Hence, he's building up why I call him legendary.
Thank
And one of the favorite races that I had a little horse called Hancock Creed. He was a closer. And we have Doug Snyder on him. And Doug handled him pretty well. And he was a quarter claimer, one of the cheap claimers. And I'll never forget the race. He didn't leave a lick. Some are front runners, and he wouldn't leave at all. Although Doug told us one race, and my ex-wife, he said, "I'm going to be on the front end," because he saw the horses. He goes, "Hancock Creed will be on the front end." And he did it, and he won a race. But my favorite one you called, Hancock Creed at the half, is the last one there. He's by 5 or 6 lengths.
Doug Snyder can see them all.
Yeah, and that's what Roger Houston said. Then he starts going, like before the 3/4, he starts coming up, and Roger's announcing the horses, and he goes, Hancock Creed's coming up on the outside. Mm-hmm. And then he gets to the 3/4. Now he's within 3 or 4 lengths, of the lead. And you were calling that, who's in the lead, and then Hancock Creed's coming up on the outside, and he wins by maybe a neck at the end of the race. And that's one of the legendary calls, although you've had many of them, but with my own horse. And I wanted to share that before we run out of time on this.
I would like to say I remember every step
No,
of
you
it, but
can't. No, you can't. Just like every once in a while I reminisce, because, I was in the horse racing business in '83, and then with Dragon's Lair, when he came out with Jeff Mallett, I used to see him train because I would jog my horses in the morning. I was one of the owners that they taught me how to do it. The Snyders trusted me with their $100,000 fillies. That's how good I got. So I'd see Jeff Mallett with Dragon's Lair and stuff, and they'd go, watch this horse. He's just 2 years old. And I'm like, what? And your call when he beat Annihilator is in the Breeders' Crown is one of, I get chills when I tell you that. Just what it did for me as a fan and being there that day.
Well, there was a lot of build up to the race and everything, and we called him Dragon's Lair, the horse from the meadows.
Yes.
And
I get chills when you say that.
it was a great night.
It truly was. And what a beautiful horse, too.
I never trained Dragon's Lair, but I went on a training trip with another horse, and Jeff had Dragon's Lair.
Okay.
And so I got to
feel
have that
it.
experience.
Yeah, no, that is so cool.
Yeah.
No, it's good. Hey, we got to get into the book. You have so many great stories. Thank you for sharing a minimum amount.
Yeah.
Why? Why the book now?
Well, my son-in-law, Dustin Ross, had been after me for a number of years to.
And I'm sure others too.
Well, a lady out in California wanted to write a book, and she said, just get a cassette recorder and put it down, and I'll do the rest. But I just kept putting it off and putting it off. And of course, I've known Vicki Howard since she was a guest on the show when she was 19 years old.
Wow, that's going back a few.
And so I called her one day, and she says, well, let's do it. And we decided to do it. And
this is what happened.
Yeah.
And it has all kind of great pictures and things.
Got 80 pictures in there.
No, it's just, I just perused it a little bit. I just purchased this book. So I got to say, I haven't read it yet, but you heard the stories from this legendary, the voice of the Meadows, Roger Houston. How can you not want to find out hundreds more?
Yeah, well, hundreds more. Oh, God. I don't know if we got that many, but we probably could.
Well, I'm known to exaggerate and embellish a little bit. Give me a little credit.
We're running out of time. 181,882.
This is why I said he doesn't miss a beat. That is why he is a legend in my mind, and being physically here, I say it. Who else is even close to you? Do you know?
No.
Okay.
Guinness World Book of Records does not have a category for horse race announcers. They lump you with all other announcers.
Yeah.
And I'm second to, who was the guy that did the Los Angeles Dodgers for so many years?
Oh.
Vince Scott.
Vince Scott, yeah.
Second to him.
Unbelievable.
In years.
Okay.
And right now I'm 63 years doing it. Now next year will be 64, but I don't think I can catch him.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, we got it in 29 minutes. Thank you, Roger, the legendary Houston horse racing announcer. Good luck and continued success. Go ahead, last word.
Be there!
That is it. Thank you so much.